Well, if you're concerned about where your money is going and why it's been going a little bit worse than normal, well, take a look at this because this is probably going to make you a little bit crazy. Listen to this.
So I met a man tonight who is en route from New Hampshire to Arizona, and he said that every time he stops for gas, he sees one of these stickers. Different variations, all with the same theme. This one has former President Trump pointing to the price with the caption, "Biden did that."
I take off five or six a day from our different pumps. I got one here. Is the I did that, and then they put it by the pump, and it's supposed to be, I guess, that President Biden is causing the gas to go up.
The little stickers on gas pumps all across the country illustrate the American people know exactly whose fault this is.
If you have pumped gas in the past year, you may have seen one of these stickers blaming President Biden for the cost of gas at the pump. Republicans have done an incredibly good job of convincing Americans that the surge in gas prices that followed the start of the war in Ukraine was somehow Joe Biden's fault, despite the fact that Biden granted more oil and gas drilling permits than Trump did in the first 2 years of his presidency, and the fact that Biden released more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve than has ever been released before. Republicans really could not stop talking about gas prices last year, which is part of what makes their relative silence today so deafening. Today, ExxonMobil's earnings report showed that last year was its most profitable year ever. So while Americans were hurting at the pump and Republicans were blaming Joe Biden, the oil and gas company was lining its pockets to the tune of $55.7 billion in profit. Last week, Chevron announced that it also had its largest profit ever last year, $36.5 billion. Again, that is profit, not revenue. And what are these gas companies doing with these record profits? At least in Chevron's case, it has been announced that it will be doing $75 billion of stock buybacks for shareholders. Perhaps somebody should put that on a sticker.
Yeah, so if that doesn't make you a little bit irate, I actually got a really hot one for you here in a second. Take a look at this. So while you're spending your money at the gas pump, at food that's at record highs as well, largely, or a lot of it because of diesel prices, food's got to get shipped, and everything else is high as well, a lot of it because of diesel and gas prices. Shell posted its highest annual profit ever, almost $40 billion, $39.9 billion for the full year of 2022, which they just reported. By the way, their previous high before was in 2008 at 28.4 billion. And in 2021, their profit was 19.2 billion. This year, they posted more than double that at almost $40 billion in profit. They just announced a $4 billion stock shareholder buyback program. Yeah, so that's what they're spending the money on. And that's just Shell. Exxon made $6.3 million every hour in 2022. And their own most profitable year ever in 2022. Remember that Shell made $40 billion in profit. Well, Exxon made $56 billion in profit. Yeah, and then you look at Chevron. Chevron has reported record profits as well and has, remember that Shell said they're going to buy back $4 billion in stocks? Well, Chevron is going to buy back $75 billion in stock buybacks. This is where they're spending the money. They're not spending the money in production. They're not spending the money in refineries. They're spending the money in stock shareholder buybacks. It's good to be a stock shareholder. In fact, when you look at some of the stocks, like Exxon, for example, it's at an all-time high. Yeah, you can see here how much of a high it's at. In fact, just a few years ago, it was at $34 a share. Now it's at $114, almost $115 a share. It's good to be the oil and gas companies, huh? Oh, and by the way, remember Chevron CEO, or by the way, remember Chevron here with the $75 billion stock buyback? It was their CEO here that just in June, their CEO said that they would never build another refinery ever again, and that there would probably be never another refinery built again in the entire country by any oil company. And there hasn't been one since the 1970s built in the United States by any oil company over 50 years, or about 50 years, because of the cost. They don't want to spend the money. They say it's simply too expensive. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can see the headlines right here. But they got $75 billion, just one single company, for stock buybacks. Yeah. Meanwhile, gas prices are soaring. You can see gas prices here in the United States soaring here yet again. Gas prices have gone up about 30 cents in the last month. Yeah, 321 a month ago, now about 350. So look at that. Where do you think your money's going? And meanwhile, you might say, oh, well, Joe Biden did that. Joe Biden did that. Here's the interesting part about that. We're producing more oil, a lot more oil, than the day Joe Biden came into office. The day Joe Biden came into office at the beginning of 2021, we were producing about 10,900,000 barrels per day, or 11,000 barrels per day, right at the beginning of January 2021. In fact, that's a little bit more than when Trump was there, because you can see here the graph here in the top right, it plummeted when the pandemic hit. Okay, and it stayed low. So about 11,000 barrels per day when Joe Biden came in, and you can see the graph has steadily gone up since Biden has just been the president since then. So now we're at 12,200 barrels per day, which is about a 10% increase since Biden has become president. You can see the graph right here, and this is directly from the government, the U.S. Energy Information Administration. They've been tracking this for years and years and years and years. So we've actually produced more oil since Biden came into office. But I mean, people want to blame Biden, but clearly we're producing more oil than the day he came into office. And you can see where the money is going. The money is just going to the oil companies, the gas companies, and they're not spending any money into infrastructure and refineries and ways to make oil and gas cheaper. They're lining their pockets and putting it in the stockholder buyback program. So it's good to be a stockholder, but it's not good to be anybody else in America. Yeah. And in fact, they're doing this around the world, because if you actually look at gas prices around the world here, the US has one of the cheapest gas prices in the world. There's a few countries that have gas a little bit cheaper here, but you can see the US here, it's a little bit cheaper than what is shown here, because we're at about 350. This shows 381. I think there's a little bit of a conversion process there, but this is US gallons and US dollars here. But when you look at all the countries that are more expensive on the list here, there's a lot. France, $7.85. Greece, $7.89. Norway, $8.55. Iceland, $8.65. Germany, Europe's largest economy, $7.33 a gallon. US dollars, US gallons. Ireland, $6.50. By the way, we'll look at Canada. $4.96. We're at $3.50. They're almost at $5. You look at the United Kingdom, also here, almost $7 a gallon. It's $6.91. And don't forget, these other countries are very pissed off about it, for lack of a better word, as well. The United Kingdom back in June slapped a gas tax on oil and gas giants to ease the pain of soaring household and energy bills on these gas companies because of exactly what we're seeing here. Remember, these gas and oil companies are doing this worldwide, and that's the main reason why gas and oil and natural gas and energy costs are high. Because remember, about 40% of your electricity comes from natural gas alone. Okay, so all these countries are dealing with it, and they're just tired of it. They're just tired of it. The United States is producing more oil than we have when Biden came in, but yet gas prices are through the roof and continue to go up. I mean, they've come down since we're where we were in June, but it's ridiculous at this point. The United Kingdom actually slapped them with a windfall gas and profit tax, and they actually redistribute those taxes that they tax the oil and gas companies on back to low and middle income households. Believe it or not, it's kind of the way it works. California has actually threatened to do that to them as well. Yeah, so the question is, if the United States is producing more oil than when Biden came into office on day one, and you heard the other lady, we've given them more new leases than Trump did. What do we need to do? The problem here is that the oil and gas companies have figured out exactly what they need to do to wring every single dollar of profit and revenue out of you and me that they can. And the problem is it causes the price of everything to go up. Food, anything you buy at CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, any store near you, because everything's got to be shipped there via truck or airplane. Any type of fuel, right, has fuel surcharges, transportation surcharges, all this stuff, right? And it's a big driver of inflation. And yeah, we've seen gas come down from $5 a gallon on average, but still 3.50 is not great. Not great. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that gas was in the $2 range, and now all of a sudden it's just gone up to 3.50 for what reason? Because they just wanted to raise the gas prices. They just realized that gas was too cheap, and now all of a sudden they just wanted to bump it up another 50 cents a gallon just for funsies. So it's just like, this is the problem, and this is why I don't trust gas and oil companies, and you shouldn't either. And Congress needs to figure out a way. Like, I feel like, um, and again, I'm not from either side, but I feel like Republicans like side with the gas and oil companies, like they're buddy buddy with them, like they're always trying to like defend them for some reason. When the problem is they're trying to like wring every dollar out of the American people. Just I also feel like the pharmaceutical companies are trying to do the same thing. You look at the price of healthcare and the price of prescription drugs. It's just, in fact, I've seen a recent article here. I'll bring it up here in a future video here, but the U.S. just pays way more than any other country when it comes to prescription drugs and healthcare, and it's just absolutely insane. And the problem is these companies sell the exact same prescriptions, the exact same prescription drugs in other countries for just way less. So like they try to feed you the propaganda like, oh, it's because we're doing all this research here and all this stuff, and they sell the exact same prescription drugs in other countries like Canada, United Kingdom, Europe, and even Mexico, right? For a lot less. So they just charge us more. Why? Because they can. Now, we don't pay a lot more than these other countries for gas, thank God. Can you imagine if we were paying $6, $7 a gallon? And if you're like, if you're from California, you're like, Jimmy, we did, bro, we did. This summer we did, or last summer. And still, even if you're in California, if you're in LA, you're like, yeah, it's still really expensive, but it can go higher. And they're already saying that the national average gas prices could go to $4 here soon. And we're at 3.50 now, that'd be another 50 cents higher. So don't trust these gas companies. And the problem is that Congress is just, Republicans and Democrats can never agree to do anything to them. And it's just like, oh, we have to protect them. We have to let them drill, baby, drill. what do we need to do? We're giving them all these leases. They're producing more than 2 years ago when Biden came into office. What do we need to do? Give them more billions and billions of dollars that they're already taking from our pockets? And I know people are going to mention the Keystone XL pipeline. I get it that that horse has been beaten to death. Remember, that's just a pipeline. It does not produce any oil or gas. I get it. Biden shut it down. I don't know why. I mean, I know why he shut it down, because they're worried about it leaking in all the areas and stuff. It goes to a bunch of environmental areas and stuff like that. But remember, it's just a pipeline. It does not produce any oil or gas. So even if it was up there, it still doesn't produce anything. And even if it did, you think these oil and gas companies would, that the price would be lower? Remember that oil and oil is sold on a national, global scale. So I really don't think it would be any cheaper, to be honest. I mean, look, we're pumping more oil than we did the day Biden came in office, and gas just keeps going up. So, and imagine if you moved over to Europe, you'd be paying double what we're paying now. So, let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I don't know, something's got to be done, but I fear for our future when it comes to gas prices, natural gas prices, diesel prices, and food prices, everything. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I'll keep you up to date here with everything that you need to know about going on here in our country. I bring you the truth. I just look at this data, I look at everything and read the numbers. And, you know, hey, if the oil production has gone down since Biden came in office, then we could say, hey, well, this is the reason, you know. But let me know your thoughts here in the comments. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon after you subscribe. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for hitting the like button and sharing these videos so other people can see exactly what is happening here. A lot of people don't understand this. They just blame whoever, and they don't really see the details here. Here's some videos you can watch next. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And here's some details on Social Security and Medicare. Again, really good details. It's actually a Republican point of view because, again, I share both sides. I really am not from either side, but this shares the numbers on the problem with our debt and our Medicare and Social Security. And that's a really good video here as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.